Bridgit, and we're focused on planetary cognition. How can we help the world think and learn together? We're presenting the COVID-19 Bridging Project. It's a massive online collaboration that solves the infodemic that was created by the pandemic. So the Director General of the World Health Organization says we're not only fighting a pandemic, we're fighting an infodemic. And that's because preprints and journal articles are coming out at an unprecedented rate. Not only that, but Google has billions of results for COVID-19 and coronavirus. And even the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Anthony Fauci, says it gets a little confusing what you can really believe. Not only that, tools and processes that we use as researchers limit our view of the relevant information in ecology and actually turn us into our own silo of silos, because we pulled information from a silo and then we put it in our own silos. So we're suggesting a massive online research collaboration that enables professionals working on COVID-19 to collaborate on the same web page. Now, this is super profound because the web as it is now is actually a social distancing technology. When you go to a web page and I go to the same web page, we have no idea that we're at the same web page. That's by design with the web. But we're making it so that you can know the person's there, you can connect with them, and you can have conversations with them around specific pieces of information. You can do that without coordination, even if you don't know each other or speak the same languages, via a browser overlay with a self-generating collective knowledge map of all the online data and insights for the coronavirus and the second and third order effects. Our beachhead market is massive online research collaboratives. IBM says $3.1 trillion is lost due to poor data quality. We estimate that about 15% of the data is qualitative, and with just a very small amount of that available market, it's a substantial market opportunity that is simply the tip of the research iceberg, because there's a lot more that can be done in the research that's not even counted here. So what's an interactive, self-generating collective knowledge map? Well, I'll tell you how we make it. We give researchers smart tags, which they can attach to content snippets. So they can attach a note to an image, and they can create a bridge from a paragraph to a video. They can attach a poll to a podcast. And these smart tags assemble into a map. So the bridges connect different nodes of content, and the other interaction tags are interactions that are available on the specific piece of content. We've been experiencing good traction. We're the only non-European company to win a Next Generation Internet Award from the EU. We had our key patent granted. We did an alpha in which 35% of those surveyed said they'd be very disappointed we did not build, and we were selected for the Johns Hopkins COVID-19 Design Challenge. In fact, we're Team 222, and we see this as a breakthrough moment for us. There are a lot of companies that help you find things. There are a lot of companies that help you store or map things. There are a lot of companies that help you do bookmarking and notes and sources. But Bridgit sits at the intersection of all of these, doing something that none of them all do, that none of them do all the things that Bridgit does. And we could potentially collaborate with any of them, any of these companies or all of these companies. So we've got a powerfully talented team dedicated to decentralizing opportunity, 2 PhDs, 2 Stanford alums, Carnegie Mellon alum, 1 MBA, and alum from the Current TV and quantum resistant ledger exits. Our primary revenue streams are subscriptions, ads, and data licensing. The key thing to note is the ads in the data licensing are downstream, and the ads are for when we go for a more general audience. Even with relatively conservative assumptions, we can grow very quickly. We are raising $1.5 million on a safe, 20% discount, $8 million cap, and most 50% is going to launching the project, 30% product development, 20% G&A, legal, and patents. How much time do I have? Okay.
Yeah.
And
4 minutes. I think your time is almost turned out.
And I'll just leave you with this, that people who are looking at research really understand that there's some serious changes that are needed, and we're on top of it. And what we're doing with COVID can be the seed for a pandemic map and for a health and well-being map. Thank you.
Great, David. Are you still building this platform, or you tested any use case?
We're in alpha right now, but as part of this design challenge, we have committed to doing the first phase of the project in the next 2 weeks. The new phase for COVID-19. We had an alpha platform that was for general researchers, not specific to COVID-19. Now we're going to drill down and add on some extra overlays to make that really powerful for those researchers who are working on it.
So when you did that general use case, any one use case where there was a very tangible outcome?
For the COVID-19, yeah, the first use case that we're working on is helping COVID-19 researchers collaborate. And the three things that we're going to be helping them do is to find each other, to understand what kind of work that each other is working on, even if it's not published yet, and to be able to communicate with each other. And that's just the start. We're starting at collaboration. Later, we're going to be moving more into the information realm.
Thanks.
David, this is Sylvia. The proprietary aspect of this platform, is it the security that restricts the average person, that only certain people with certain credentials and doing, how do you keep people from just jumping on and, potentially mucking up your data?
Well, absolutely. There's gonna be security that's going to prevent anyone to just hop on. But beyond that, we're going to have a validation step for some of the different more crucial parts of the data, not ones that are coming up in phase 1, but as we start looking at the relationships between data, there will be a validation step to ensure that the relationship between pieces of data is correct.
This is Debbie. Sorry, go ahead.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Go ahead.
One thing that I wonder if you've gotten any feedback on is asking the people submitting the information to do the tagging. Would it be possible to automate that?
The people submitting the information to do the tagging, some of the tagging will be done automatically. Like we'll be able to pull in information from Wikipedia, from the coronavirus facts database. There's 800 fact checks for them. There's also information and citations. So we'll be able to pull those in automatically. The other information, the relationships between two pieces of information, AI is not able to do that, but we think that AI can assist with that. So we imagine it always being a human in the loop, even when we have AI deployed.
Thanks.
Hey, this is James. I had a question. So basically, you guys are hyper crowdsourcing the knowledge of researchers. Now, is there any protection against the researcher's bias? Because it seems like a lot of people in the researching business, they want to get their papers published. They want to be recognized. So that once they get a thesis or write a paper, they get a bias, and they defend that bias no matter what. They might quite honestly believe it, but there's a confirmation bias.
Yeah, the way our system works is super granular. So it's connecting ideas, and our supposition is that it's somewhat it's very feasible to determine whether the relationship between two ideas is correct or not. So by going through having a validation step where whenever anyone creates a bridge or a relationship between two pieces of information, it goes to a validation queue. People who've been approved to be validators would then have to, 3 in a row say that the relationship between content A and content B is correct as described.
Right. Is there going to be anything on there that shows conflicting views? So sometimes, you don't really know who's right. Just like with this, there's a lot of unknown. Whether it could be 2 or 3 experts believe this, 2 or 3 others believe this, and then you could show both points.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
Like maybe weigh in on why something is right and why something is wrong in this person's view. And there could actually be a combination of all their thoughts that ends up being right. Or some of his thoughts are right, some are hers, some of this guy's, like a melting pot, almost a hyper crowdsourcing answer.
Yeah, you're getting very much in kind of the ethos. We recognize that there's a lot of people have different truths depending on their context. So it's really important to be able to surface all the relevant perspectives. So we enable people to create supporting bridges and conflicting bridges and citing bridges, and we will give people the opportunity to create the types of bridges or relationships that are specific to their situation.
Gotcha.
This is Sylvia. I would need to know more about the platform, but I'm thinking about research methodology and the scientific method, and how we come to conclusions based on the design of a study, and then the analysis. It's kind of high level. I wouldn't want people's opinions, even if they were PhD credentialed, to be the thing that I look at. I want to see the study. I want to see the results. I want to see, is this true? Is this real? And has it been verified, validated?
Yeah, and Sylvia, what this is doing is it's creating the possibility that there's 2 studies that may be about either similar things, or maybe they're about different things, but yet they have something that's similar between the 2, whether it's conflicting or not. So what it enables the researchers to basically connect all the information. So then when someone is looking at a particular idea in a study, they can see all the other things that anyone thought, any of the other researchers thought was directly related to it.
So they can make correlations.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the comments to make is when I thought of when we were thinking about how this thing would really work at the beginning, and we really wanted to go, we were thinking about the upstream things, decision making, and how we could improve that. But we also were recognizing, have you heard of the trivium? It's a 3-layered pyramid. So the bottom layer is knowledge, middle layer is understanding, top layer is wisdom, and the idea is you can't have consistently wise decisions unless you have the right understanding. You can't have the right understanding unless you have the right knowledge. And we said, we can't focus on this because we have a horrible information base, probably the worst possible one for a hyper-connected, hyper-computational society.
Very true. Very true. You've got a tough task again ahead of you. So
this is Saeed.
Yeah.
I joined in midway, but so pardon my partial ignorance. I have a couple of questions. One is on the business model. The other one is, in this era of trust or lack thereof in the internet, how do you solve that problem? And I just want to basically a segue. There's a provenance project on news, which New York Times and ABC and South China Morning Post and everybody is on. It's called the News Provenance Project. And there's a Trusted Source Project, and there's a Content Authenticity Project that's actually led by Adobe. So I'm just trying to see where you fit in that space. So how do you, if I am, so let's take the COVID-19 example. There are 2 disparate studies. One is about the usage of masks for everybody in general, and the other one is about usage of masks for only the healthcare providers. So if I am stumped with that, how do you solve that problem for me as a researcher?
Can you keep your question answer very short? The last question.
Oh, okay. All right. What we help. So you've identified 2 studies. There may be aspects of those 2 studies that are supporting each other or conflicting each other, or one might cite the other. So we just help people, the researchers who understand this stuff, to make the connections between the 2 studies. So someone may say that there's a connection between this paragraph and this other paragraph, and the relationship is supporting or conflicting. So we just give them the tools so they can provide a full set of perspectives about that particular idea in the paper.
Okay.
Right.
All right. I think
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, David. It was good presentation and follow-up questions. So let's move on to Hank.
Hank?
Do we lose Hank?
He's still alive.
Share my screen. Sorry about that.
Can you present?